Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much to Miss Hester. You're on. Okay, you all, I apologize. I was trying to get our speaker on, and so I did go ahead and get the Zoom started. I want to welcome you all to our February the 20th, 2024 Black History celebration and our monthly general meeting. You all can hear me okay, correctly?
Yeah.
Okay, good deal. I'm kind of multitasking, so you all excuse me. But I am super excited to have you all here today. Um, one second. I see I just made a mistake. Uh, okay. I'm sorry. Give me one second, you all. Um, yes, I am excited to have you all here. And I want to say thank you so much to Jeff for helping me out with the PowerPoint presentation. But we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, we want to take this time for our meeting today to celebrate Black history. So we thank you all for tuning in. So we'll go ahead and progress to the next slide. Jeff, can you refresh your PowerPoint? I've been updating. I'm sorry. Let's see. Because I changed thank you. So I want to welcome Pastor Eric Hayes, our other pastor that was supposed to tune in. He had an emergency to come up. So at the last moment, I've had to do some transitioning. So we appreciate Pastor Eric Hayes for tuning in from Indianapolis, Indiana. He's the pastor of Restoration Baptist Church. He's been there for 23 years. Eric has been a great friend of mine for many years now. I appreciate him. He mentors. Thank you.
Reverend Hayes, you can go ahead if you don't mind.
Oh, you're muted.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I want everybody to know that I was struggling myself on this end because I just stopped to think about the fact that of all the Zoom meetings that I've ever bothered to go in, I've actually never done one on phone. So I'm sitting here on my phone trying to navigate some buttons, and I don't know where they all are. But God bless you all tonight. And thank you, Sister Bates, for thinking enough of me to ask you. I think you know how the NAACP is close to my heart, and so I'd like to indeed open us up in prayer this evening. Our Father and our God, in the name of Jesus, we thank you first of all for what you've already done for us, Lord. We are counting and thanking you for the days that you have brought us all the way from the Middle Passage, Lord, to a time when it seemed like when we would not make it, and yet we are flourishing. Father, through all the hate and hurt that has been imposed upon these people, and Father, still we rise. And so, Lord, today we ask you to remember what these people are doing here as they continue the struggle. And indeed, it is still a struggle. Lord, I ask you in the name of Jesus to empower. Lord, give them the wisdom that they need to make the right decisions, to do the right things for the right reasons. Father, we believe that when your name is involved, when justice is involved, when truth is involved, that we are in the right. And if we're in the right, you're with us. Father, I ask in the name of Jesus to Give power to those who are still trying. Father, I'm praying right now that the group can indeed be increased numerically. Restore in us, Lord, a spirit of sacrifice, because that is indeed what others did, so that we would be here today. They sacrificed. And so, Lord, make us remember that while we can give without loving, we cannot love without giving. And remind us that we do indeed have to sacrifice right now so that others can make it later. I thank you for these years that this organization has been here. I thank you for how you have allowed it to flourish. Father, we pray that you don't give up on us. Let us not give up on you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Pastor Hayes. We appreciate you for tuning in all the way from Indianapolis. We greatly appreciate you, and don't be a stranger. Definitely know that you're always welcome. So thank you so much. I want to take
Amen.
this time. Thank you, bunches. I want to take this time to also welcome any other guests. Of course, we've already welcomed Pastor Hayes and also Ms. Moore, who's going to be our guest speaker tonight. And I think everybody else are members of our branch. Mr. Creighton has been with us, part of the family as well. And Miss Claire that's logging in as well too. So we're going to pass it over to you, Drew.
Yes.
The
Do
next
we
slide.
have any birthdays in February that we would love to recognize? Does anybody have a birthday in February? Or anniversary also?
Of course I do.
Oh, that's right.
My national holiday was on the 4th. Me and Rosa Parks, Tabitha Brown, all of us amazing people celebrated our national holiday on the 4th of February. Thank you all very much. Oh gosh.
That's great.
I turned 21, by the way. Don't leave that part out.
Okay. Nobody else? I guess that's it.
Thank you so much, Drew. So now we're gonna turn it over to our Madam Treasurer, our officer. We have been celebrating Black History by launching a membership drive. So some of you all have participated. If you haven't, become a member. Monica's gonna give you more information about that, but we hope everybody on the call, no matter where you are, that you are a member. Also consider gifting a membership, but I'm going to pass it over to our officer, to Madam Treasurer, Monica.
Okay, so I will just get straight to how you can become a member, since all the intro has been done by President Bates. You can actually join our branch via the NAACP website, which is naacp.org. In the top right corner, you will see a link that says join the NAACP. You can click that. If you are a new member, you can launch a new membership straight from that site, or you can also renew if you are returning to the organization to be financial. You'll search for the DFW Metro branch. You can find us via our zip code, which is 75019. If you search for that, you'll find DFW Metro. You're able to put your personal information and you can actually pay right there online. It will take you less than 5 minutes to actually get that done. You can join for as little as $30 for an annual membership for adults and $15 for any youth that are in your house. So we certainly hope that you become a member and join us. And I will put the link in the chat. And if you have any questions, if you want to navigate your membership while we're on the call, I'm happy to help you.
Thank you so much. And then we encourage you all to participate and help us by, when you're out in the community, we ask you to take a picture of this QR code. I have it on the front of my phone at all times, my phone is blurred. But yes, at all times, I keep this on the front of my phone, so it's easy. I always have my phone in my pocket, my purse or something. But you all can participate in helping us to encourage people to join our branch by sharing this QR code, saying hello, and getting them connected. Always encourage people to opt in for communications via our website so they will know when our meetings are and when things are going on. And the way you do that, to receive the newsletter, you need to opt in for communications via www.dfwmetro.naacp.org. Okay. So now we want to introduce our speaker of the evening. And I thought I had everything up in front of me, but I am going to share her bio. We're looking forward to hearing from Miss Hester today. So Hester J. Moore is an actress, author, and motivational speaker. Her book, 16968, My Story, tells her compelling story of resilience and survival that will empower students and teachers alike to become change agents for peace and humanity in all communities. 1,300 Memphis sanitation workers walked off their jobs in protest of fair wages, better working conditions, and to gain the respect as men. She was approached by 2 teachers to participate in a non-violence training per the request of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. to involve more teens in this civil rights movement. She was only 16 years old at the time. It took Ms. Moore over 40 years to share her story. In her own words, it was much too painful. Following her presentation, we'll have questions and answers for you all, a Q&A time for those of you that may have questions. With no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Hester. Ms. Moore, when would you like for us to play the video?
Right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hester Moore was featured on Searching for the Promised Land. It was narrated by Peter Jennings of ABC.
On January the 15th, 1968, Martin Luther King celebrated his 39th birthday. It was to be his last.
And Hester Moore remembers those last days. She was a strike supporter at age 16 in 1968, Memphis, Tennessee.
I wanted to be there early because I kept saying I wanted to be near Dr. King. I wanted to be near Dr. King. I want to be close to Dr. King.
Hundreds of people have joined. There must be 5,000 at this time.
There were like seas and seas of black people. I remember hearing, Dr. King is here, Dr. King is here. Then the adults were saying, stay in line, stay in line.
My God, I don't know what's happening here.
All of a sudden, people start running and screaming, go back to the church, go back to the church, run, run.
Now, complete disorder has broken out here.
It was just horrible. I actually thought I was going to die. I just saw blood, people were just bleeding. And I remember standing there and saying, why? That's not how Dr. King wanted it, because they were looting. They started pulling things out of the stores. This was not supposed to happen.
Get off the streets and not assemble in groups.
I was out taking driver's education, and we were sitting in class, and there was another trooper that came into class and beckoned the state trooper that was teaching the class to come here. And when he said something to him, this trooper just turned totally red. He had such a fear on his face. I mean, it was like he So he came to the front of the class and he said, "Class is dismissed. Dr. King has been shot."
What I want to really give to young people, whether you're 16, 6 years old, 26 or whatever, you have an opportunity to help someone that's less fortunate. You have an opportunity to help somebody to read that can't read if you can read. You have an opportunity to go next door and help somebody with their lunch. It's not about getting a dime or a dollar because we weren't down there to get paid. The payment that we were getting is a satisfaction that we were available and we were able to help someone. All I'm saying to young people is that given the opportunity, if you see wrong, you stand up for it, and also giving children an opportunity to know that you can make a difference. I now see that I made a difference. I didn't see it at first because I was not, as most young people, I wasn't famous, or I didn't go write, a slew of books or anything. For so long, I kept silent because it was so hurtful. And we must speak out. We must speak out.
And Hester Moore continues to speak out, this time in Caruthersville, Missouri. Her story, 16 and 68, captivated the students at Caruthersville Middle School. In all, it was an impactful African American History Month workshop.
Keep your eyes on the prize. That's what we had to do.
It was indeed a day to remember, with a high level of participation from
On a prize. Hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking. I'm gonna keep on a talking, marching up the freedom lane. Ain't gonna let no dogs turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let no dogs turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking. I'm gonna keep on talking, marching up the freedom lane. Ain't gonna let no hate turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let no hate turn me around. I'm gonna keep on loving. I'm gonna keep on loving, marching up the free lane. Now, NAACP of Dallas, that's the first time I've done that on a Zoom call. So I think I deserve a hand, a wave or something. Thank y'all so much for having me. I am truly grateful to be here. As I was telling a group yesterday, I had no idea 50 plus years later that I would talk about this. But I had a white professor say to me when I saw him in 1998 looking at a article on the 30th anniversary of Dr. King's death, I quietly said to him, I participated in that and explained to him how Dr. King had sent word to teachers and to the clergymen. And then the clergymen got in touch with the teachers that they wanted more young people to participate. I said yes and had no idea what I was saying yes to. But my mama gave me her permission to do what I did, and I did. The only stipulation, too, that Dr. King said that we had to, it was mandatory, that we go through a non-violent training. And let me say that to you. Via Zoom, I normally take you through some of the training, so we won't be able to do that. But it was rigorous, and we had to go through this because there would possibly be some of the training that we went through that some of the things is going to happen for real. One of my dear friends that did the foreword for my book, she is now a judge, we were paired up, and it reminded me of growing up. I'm the 14th of 15 children. Grew up with 11 plus 5. My sister had 5 children, and we all grew up together. But we never left the house unless there was somebody with you. And why was that? If something happened to one, the other can run and tell. So during the civil rights movement, before we were ready to walk the streets, boycotting the downtown stores, we were always told, always know where you started from and always know the return to the place where you started. But you never traveled alone. We were taught to recognize unmarked cars. That's when I first learned that with a number and the letter G, that was a government issued car. We were always told to respect our surroundings. No one ever left the march unless they were accompanied by an adult, in my case, if I had to catch the bus. But it was quite rigorous. But let me tell you something. You all are listening to a woman, a young girl that was pretty much afraid of everything. Now, I did not bring any tissue with me. I'm going to have to do that because oftentimes when I speak, I get emotional. I think I'm going to do okay for right now. But there was a man in our neighborhood, a Mr. McGee. Mr. McGee was a garbage worker. And while he was on strike, he had taken a second job. But they would boycott during the day, and then he would work in the evening. Well, at that time, at 16 years old, I still got whoopings. Y'all know what a whooping is. So we could not leave the porch unless we got permission. So on our front porch, oftentimes we're braiding hair and we're making up games. And this particular game was the next person that passed, whoever has not spoken to that person, it's their turn. And it was my turn. Mr. McGee was Mr. McGee was passing by, and a man that was always so spry and walked swiftly when he was walking very slowly with his head down, and I spoke and he didn't speak. When I spoke loudly, "Hey, Mr. McGee," he looked up, tipped his hat, and went on. Now, I should have known. I should have known. I mean, trash was everywhere. I said, "What's wrong with him? I wonder what's wrong with him." And when we began to talk, my sisters and my niece, we said, "Oh, that's right, the garbage workers are on strike." I wanted to help. I just wanted to help, but I knew that there was nothing that I can do as a team. So I developed this thing in my head, let grown people take care of grown people business. But then Dr. King sent word to Memphis after the organizers wanted Dr. King to come to Memphis to shed some light on the sanitation worker strike. And that's when he sent out word that he wanted more young people to participate. Most of you may not know one of the bigger reasons that the sanitation workers went on strike. Two black men were eating outside and it began to rain. They were not allowed to come inside to get out of the rain. So they sat on the back of one of the trucks, that sanitation trucks. And one of them mistakenly hit the lever and it scooped them into the truck and crashed them to death. No more. No more. They were not allowed to eat inside with their co-workers. The very few whites that did work for the sanitation, I had never in my life at the time. But it was so interesting yesterday I had a speaking engagement. And then I began to think about, why did I name the book 16 and 68, My Story? Because for years, I felt like I hadn't done anything. I didn't do enough. I kind of isolated myself from the civil rights movement because at the age of 16, I began to write yesterday what were the trigger points for me to be concerned about what was going on the outside of my home. And if you would just give me a second, I'm going to pull that up. Okay. The 1968 assassination of MEMPHIS. I was 12 years old. The 1963 bombing of the girls in Birmingham. I was 12 years old. Say their names: Addie, Cynthia, Carol, and Carol Denise. The 1963 assassination of John Kennedy. I was 12 years old. One of the things that really hit me hard was the death of the civil rights workers, Goodman, Shriver, and Cheney. I was 14 years old. The 1964 Fannie Lou Hamer testimony of her beatings of trying to get her community to vote. 13 to 14 years old. 1965, Viola Louisa. She was a mother out of Detroit that was taking some civil rights workers home. I was 13, 14. The death of James Reed, 1965, I was 13, 14. The 1968 deaths of the sanitation workers, Echo and Robert. The 1968 march to City Hall that I was a part of, 16 years old. The 1968 death of King, 16 years old. And the death of Bobby Kennedy. Those events, deaths, murders, assassinations for a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old. I was glued to the television set. Lord, don't let it come my way. So when the sanitation workers went on strike, and then I became involved, I remember saying to myself, God, I'm going to take this fear with me. Because as Dr. King said, he knew that he was here for the less of them. It took me a long, long time to tell my story because I didn't feel like I had one. I didn't do enough. I didn't die. I met Maya Angelou and I told her that I love to write, but I don't like sharing. And that's when she said to me in her melodious voice, you are cheating the world. God has given you a gift, a journey, and you must tell the stories. And here I am in 2024 with the DFW, NAACP. I studied at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York. I eventually got a degree, 50 plus, from the University of Memphis in theater and communication. And I see all of that as being a gift because I can tell my story in the most dramatic way. I attended the Tennessee Academy of Ballet. I'm a mother of 2, grandmother of 5, and another mother to so many. I said this the other day. We are always complaining about young people and what's wrong. Why don't we see what's right with them? Because nobody came and comforted me and none of the other young people that participated. It was a bunch of us down there. For years, I couldn't understand why I didn't like big crowds. I can perform in big crowds, but I don't do concerts so much. Anxious, dealing with anxiety. There were many times I couldn't pass the Lorraine Motel. I could smell the bass. I could smell the bass. If you ever had a gun, a rifle pointed at you, they thought we were looters. When the riot broke out, the minister told us to run back to the church. That's where we started. That's where you come back to. 15 minutes, come out with your hands up. I'd never been in a situation, eyes burning. They were bringing in children that were laid out. And I thought they were dead. I thought I was going to die that day. That's the day, March the 28th, 1968. I knew that I was going to die that day. Was I ready to die? No. Did I? Of course not. The question may be, how did it affect me? a lot, but I must continue to tell the story. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. Thank you so much for the courage to share with us. Thank you so much for your courage to share with us. And I want to say, I think you've done more than enough. And thank God that you're still here with us. So He has given you opportunity to continue to do and share with many. Now, I do want to share this, and we're going to open it up for questions. So if any of you all have questions, go ahead and get ready to unmute. When they had the shooting in downtown Dallas, I think in 2016, July the 7th, it was a mass shooting where I think 4 Dallas police officers were killed, and a DART officer. I happened to be down there protesting. So I was one of the survivors of that mass shooting in downtown Dallas. And so when you talked about you felt like you couldn't do enough, you have to heal from those things. And I have been in so many marches. I've dodged rubber bullets, tear gas, all kind of stuff. But I do recall during that time, it was probably over a year or more before I could drive downtown Dallas. And I'm normally fearless, running the fire. And I started noticing that I didn't want to drive downtown Dallas. I would avoid it at all costs. Yeah. And it dawned on me, I mean, those things are considered a form of PTSD. So you have to heal from those things. So yeah, you wanted to be out there you did more than enough. We have to heal from those things. And those of us that are leaders and activists, kind of like with ministers, we pour and pour and pour into so many other people, but then we hurt. People deal with depression, overworked, and we oftentimes as leaders and activists don't take time to heal ourselves. And so the older I get, I am a little more intentional about my mental health. When I can't, I don't. When I'm tired, I say I'm tired. But I definitely, that resonated with me because I dealt with a similar experience when I survived that mass shooting during that protest downtown Dallas in 2016. So I think you've done great, and healing takes time. And so you had to go through your healing. Yeah, there might have been a message, but what do they say? If you're not healed from within, what good are you for the next person or for those that God has intended for you to serve? And so that healing takes place. So I want to thank you for your courage, your sacrifice, for everything you have done. And I appreciate you so much for taking the time to share with us on this evening. Okay, I want to open it up for anybody that has comments or questions for Miss Moore, for Miss Hester Moore.
Well, this is Pastor Kennedy. Yes, I was recollecting on things that my parents taught us to do back in the late 60s and 70s. We had to go out by twos. And I remember those days. You couldn't go out by yourself. And you had to take and watch everything around you because you never know. Because I remember an incident that we was walking along the road and my brothers looked back and a guy had darted off the road and we had to jump out of the way of the truck. They tried to run us over.
My God.
So I remember those days. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, Pastor Kennedy. Pastor Dean. Thank you. Anybody else? Any comments or questions? And Penny shared in the chat, I can get to it. Can somebody get to that? Let me see. I'm having a bit. She said, we're not going back 50 years of what we experienced previously because of people like you, Sister Hester, that are still around to tell the story. Very true.
But you know what's so interesting though, that really hurts me? Some of the stuff that happened 50 and 60 years ago, that in 2020, in the 21st century, we're dealing with it. We're dealing with stuff that we thought we were over with.
Yeah.
And so, but oftentimes I get asked the question, well, what do you think Dr. King would think about the young people? I said, I tell you what, they will speak up before we, because we were taught over and over, there was a white woman that spat at me and called me the N-word and told me to go home, go home, go home. And I just felt bad for her because I knew I wasn't leaving. We weren't going anywhere. But it's like she was much older and I felt bad for her. I felt bad for her because obviously she just didn't understand her telling me to leave because she was an adult, older adult and white, that I was going to leave, and I didn't. But the young people are much more, I'll say, I don't know, braver. But then my son said, Mom, a lot of people wouldn't give up what Dr. King, the sacrifice, and a lot of those people. I've spoken with Mega Evers' brother and the young man that integrated Ole Miss, and those guys. Wow, to me that's straight up 100% plus bravery because of the environment and the mindset of the people. The majority mindset. That's bravery. Big time. Sacrifice. Big time. And as much as I was into boys in high school, I tell, when I go out and speak, I said, there were 3 things that I love about going to school. I said, what do you think it is? They said, oh, math, history. I said, honey, it was boys, boys, boys. And I'm not going to lie. I wasn't thinking about none of this kind of stuff, but it's just something about Mr. McGee and just having that, sanitation worker, living on my street. And I knew that there were 4 mouths to feed, plus he and his wife, and just seeing that. And my mom, I didn't realize we were poor, but mother would put baskets together if someone lights were cut off or whatever. And then she would send us down there to give the basket. And we would be so embarrassed because we didn't want the people to know that we knew that. But sometimes something just come down in you. It's just in you. It's just like, we marched during the afternoons and night. And some days I skipped school. I was deemed a troublemaker. And I'm going to be very honest, and I say this to everywhere I speak. There were a bunch of black folks did not want Martin Luther King to come to Memphis, say he was a troublemaker. That was told to me directly.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else have comments?
Yeah,
yes, Mr. Moore, this is Donald. I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
No, I just wanted to just that word sacrifice is definitely something that we don't hear a lot these days. So a lot of us feel like we need to be given something, and sacrifice is definitely important. Sorry, Brother Creighton. Go ahead.
That's all right. Ms. Moore, thank you for coming to speak. I think to us to speak. One of the things that I'm from that area of Memphis, but I'm from Corinth, Mississippi. So It's only like an hour away. And since I've been away, again, I wasn't back in the era of the civil rights movement, but I've since come to learn about WDIA, I think the radio station there. How did that play a big role in the mobilization of people in Memphis at that time?
Well,
Or
I
did
was
it?
pretty young, but what I do remember in retrospect about WDIA, it the station itself and the people that work there really was creating Black history among our people within the community by having quiz. It's called a quiz on the air or whatever, and they would compete uh, with questions, school against school or whatever, but they were all Black schools. Nat D. Williams was the main force that I can remember, teacher slash DJ, and just very proud. I mean, in order for you to compete, you had to really, really be smart. And it's called Quiz on the Air or something similar to that. But I remember once my sister and some of her friends from George Washington Carver High School was able to do that. Then they had a organization within the station of like a choir, like. So to me, they were just trying to do things to elevate people that may at some point didn't feel like they were no, not feel like we're not being elevated. And so within the community, WDIA was very, very instrumental in creating that, for the Black community. Very well respected station. I think they used to have like a fundraiser every year, the gospel every day. At some particular time, they had gospel music and so on. And I don't think they even played the blues or anything like that on Sundays. But that's what I remember as a kid, in terms of WDIA.
Okay. I know it's the blues. It's blues on Saturday. I love going to the blues on Saturday. Listen to it. So yeah.
But thank you.
Thank you.
But I listened to the way you pronounce current. How do you pronounce it?
Current.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think here there's a Corinth, Texas, and they pronounce it different.
Yeah,
I said
yeah,
you
they call
come
it
down to
Corinth. Yeah.
Memphis. Yeah, come down to Memphis in Mississippi. We don't pronounce it like that.
Correct.
Thank you so much
Thank you.
for sharing.
Thank you.
Hester, I have
Anybody?
a question.
Yes.
Can I get in here? How are you writing this down?
I have
Your
a book.
story. You're writing your story down?
Hold on for a second. What's your name?
Steve.
Hey, Steve. I want to show you something, Steve.
Ah. Okay. Okay, good.
Yeah.
And look in the chat. I believe Jeff has already shared the
Okay,
link.
good.
I don't
Because I
want
think
y'all
if you
buying from the
haven't,
link.
you should be writing it down.
Yeah, I need to come and bring some books because then they will be signed by me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that I would love to do that because if you get them, from Amazon, of course, they won't be signed by me, and I know you would love to, have the book and have them to be personally signed. So let me know when I can bring them to the office or at someone's place or whatever. I can come and do a book signing for you. But you know what? It took me, even when I met Maya Angelou, I was living in Orlando when she really got on me about not sharing my story. But it was only when I was in Memphis, when I moved back to Memphis in '98, and I was going to community college, and I was taking a technical class from this theater teacher, and he's the one that said he was reading a paper, and I said something to the effect, just real quiet, like I was involved in that. And he said, oh, really? I said, yeah. He said, well, why don't you write about it? I said, no, I don't want to write about it. It's too painful. Now, I'm going to finish that story and tell you something my ex-husband said too. He said, oh, you don't want to write about it? I said, no. He said, well, what if your grade depended on it? I said, give me the piece of paper and the pencil, honey. I started writing, but it still took me a long time. I self-published in 2017. Then I met Liz Lawless, which is my publisher. She kind of reworked it and did some things because the first edition was really raw. I mean, I was just talking about, my experience, with some very serious issues. And there was time I had a dear friend that was killed accidentally. I couldn't cry. But all that work, man, that we were doing, and then they killed Dr. King, that just ripped me apart. It just ripped me. And I was just 16, but I was just gonna say my ex-husband read my book, and we were married 23 years and never talked about this. Never. He looked over at me, he said, "You never talked." I didn't. But what? It was too hurtful. And the professor that told me to write, he put another addendum, what is it, another assignment. We went to the public with stories, asking whether they had stories. And man, we had a barrage of stories during that time. I had forgotten about, and I ended up, using in my book. I forgot about the army tanks. They used to rattle our, houses when they would pass through there, with bullhorns telling us to get off the porch. We had a curfew, and I wanted to be defiant, so we had to be we had to be in the house at 7, and I always left the porch at 6:59.
Well, I know that you and I are about the same age because I kept up with your chronologic, and I remember this time too. Of course, I had a whole different perspective of it, but I do remember that was also the time when it was shown on TV for the first time, and it was shown around the country, and so the awareness was pretty widespread, much more so than anything that happened prior to that.
Yeah,
I remember that I was real confused about why is this happening. I couldn't understand why this was happening. I'm a white guy. I'm a white kid in Houston, Texas, and I couldn't understand why it was happening. You're really special to have lived in something like that. You really need to write this down.
I was just afraid that they were going to come to the house. And one of my friends, God bless, said, "Hester, you are 16. You had a right to be afraid. You had a right." And I just felt like I didn't want to die, and I felt guilty. But I'm much, much better. I cried, but the tears are not a, regret. But I just didn't. And then I went through a period, I felt invisible. I wanted to be invisible. I did. I did not want to disturb. I didn't want no disagreement. I said, these folks killing, they not only killing black folks, they killing white folks, sympathizing. So who am I? And I used to say that to myself all the time. I'm nobody. I'm nobody. If you have the audacity to kill Dr. King, you have the, yeah, I went through. I went through it. I just want to be invisible.
Thank you so
You're
much.
not invisible anymore.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're
No one
welcome.
else, does anybody else have anything? Chef, if you could bring back up the PowerPoint presentation. And Monica, could you check the chat for me? Thank you so much, Ms. Hester. You all give her another hand and an applause. We definitely, when your time permits, would love for you to engage with our branch some more. But thank you all so much. If anybody else has any questions, if you could drop them in the chat. I see a few people that have entered on. Y'all missed a great treat tonight. Our speaker was amazing. But I definitely, my cousin Monica has gotten on the call. Miss Candace Wicks is on the call. A visitor, Raj, is on the call. So we all had, and Miss Garcia. I apologize. I'm multitasking. I have got to get into a city council meeting here in Carrollton, they're doing a proclamation and have asked me to be a part of that today. But I do want to thank you all for tuning in. And if you are not a member of our branch, we offer and encourage you to become a member in celebration of Black History Month. We have been asking people to renew their memberships to the NAACP, DFW Metro NAACP. And so if you could go back a few slides, Jeff, thank you. We definitely invite you to do that. If you're not getting our newsletters, opt in at www.dfwmetronaacp, and also connect with us on social media. Again, I want to thank our guest, and I want to thank each and every one of you. And again, I do sincerely apologize that I got to run. But if you could go to the next screen, we have a couple of updates. We want to tell you all opportunities for you all to engage with our branch. We have intern groups, and we have a couple that we do not have supervisors for yet. And so basically excuse me, I'm sorry, you all. As a supervisor of an intern group, it takes about 2 hours a week. We just ask you to be the point of contact. You'll know exactly what the students their deliverables are. And basically, you are just that point of contact on behalf of the branch. You all, it makes a huge difference for us. They meet virtually once a week. And that extra hour is just answering questions if they have any questions. They may not even have questions. They may not meet every week. They may meet every other week. But if you are able to volunteer in that capacity, please, if somebody could, one of you all could put my email address in the chat. If you would send me an email, reach out to me and let me know if you could help our branch out in that capacity. Again, we have a couple of intern opportunities. Steve is going to be working on a membership drive and analysis project. We also have our gaming expo and tournament, which will be our 3rd year. So we have some interns helping with that and a couple of other things. So just let us know if you're able to assist with that. Okay, can you go to the next one? Can you go pull them all up, because I want to cover the ones that I have to cover, and then I'm gonna let everybody else. Legal redress team, we need some help with that. So if you are available to help with our legal redress team, we don't get a lot of calls and complaints in at this moment, but we do get some every now and every other week, every other month or so. So if you don't have to have a legal background or anything, the NAACP National Office gives training in that capacity, but we definitely could use your help there. Our health team is planning a health fair. So if you would like to get engaged, you don't necessarily have to have a background in healthcare, but we definitely welcome you to be a part of that. And then our youth hackathon, I put hackathon, it should have been gaming, but next year we plan to do gaming and coding and the expo. We had a fabulous time this year. We had over 400 people that came out. We partnered with the Den Black Film Festival. So next year will be our 3rd year. We need help, help, help. So if you are available, please let us know. And I am going to now turn it over to our officer, Miss Monica Underwood. She's going to take over the meeting, but the rest of our leaders are going to give updates. And again, I'm begging you all to either become a member or renew your membership or give somebody else a membership. We do have a quota that we have to meet, so we're trying to get our memberships up. It was hard work trying to get this branch started, and we do not want it to fall by the wayside because we don't have enough members. So I'm going to turn it over to Monica at this time. And again, thank you. And I apologize, you all, that I have to leave early.
All right, thank you, President Bates. If you all could just bear with us, we will quickly go through these announcements, and then we will let you go and enjoy your evening. For the ones that we haven't gone through, Drew, do you have any quick updates or volunteer opportunities for the communications team?
Sure. Can you give me screen sharing?
I think Jeff is actually running the slides.
Oh.
Jeff, are you able to do that?
Yeah, you can share. You can share.
Okay, let's see if I can find that here. For some reason, okay. Oh, I see. Okay, let me see if I can find my file here.
And while you guys are doing that, I was trying to send Steve a chat that I'd like to interview or talk with him about his experience during 1968. But anyone, you're welcome to call me. I'm trying to send my number 901-484-7082.
Oh. I unfortunately cannot find, but I'll tell you what I put.
Yeah, Drew, can you just talk to it, or else we can go to the next one while you're looking for your file, just so we can move along?
Yeah, I can just say what I was going to say.
Okay.
Okay. So, Crystal wanted me to talk about, why you should volunteer for the communications team. And what I put was, it's fun. First of all, it's fun because you're in the know of what's going on with DFW Metro NAACP, and with the state action for the NAACP and the national. So it's fun, but you're also working towards, what you believe in, how you want things to change. And then the second reason I would call for people to volunteer is, particularly if you're young people, but it doesn't matter what age you are. I can help mentor you by doing these things. You'll learn new skills. So, any proofreading hints I can give people, editing, writing, and then anybody that wants to learn Canva can help us make, Facebook posts and Instagram. And really, Canva can be addictive. It's a lot of fun. You do the graphic stuff. So
Okay.
that's why we need volunteers for communications. It's very important. And
Great,
one thing,
thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing.
Sure.
To Hester. I grew up in Montana, but I'm about your age. And really what's interesting to me is we didn't hear about a lot of this stuff going on, we didn't hear about it. Like there was Life magazine. At the time, we had, I think, 2 TV channels in Montana. But now it's good because there's so much communication that I think it's going to be easier to keep a track of what's not right. And also, I was tear gassed and pepper gassed when I was 18 by Mr. Ronald Reagan. So I know kind of not nearly what you went through, but I can definitely sympathize with somebody threatening your life, and really at such a young age for no reason. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Drew. Okay, so next, Jeff, any updates to share for political action? I know you put a few things in the chat, but if there's anything you want to voice over.
Yeah, there's a link for all of our upcoming events. We've got a variety of community activations that we're doing over the next few weeks. We've got HBCU Fair tomorrow night. We'll be at the Durham Middle School Black History night on this Friday. We'll be at Southwest Airlines on the 29th with a table taking memberships and doing voter registration. So we've got a lot of opportunities. Stay tuned to the Facebook group. And if you're in the group me, definitely jump in there. But continue to look at our newsletter, Facebook, IG, all of our communications, because there are definitely plenty of opportunities for you to volunteer for the local action space. And I appreciate you. I'll put my email address in the chat.
Great, thank you. And I think Crystal covered the next several ones. So I'll just close out this slide with the economic development opportunities we have been out in the community quite a bit these past couple of weeks. We've been at, college fairs and, speaking with various companies. And through those meetings, we have been able to connect with 3 local banks who have expressed interest in some programming with us. So we are in active discussion with these banks about home ownership discussions, wealth building, small business loans, things like that, financial literacy for adults and for children. So we've got about 3 banks on the list who actually want to partner with us on those events. So I will actually be heading up that work. So if any of you have a passion for finance or just doing your part to try to close the wealth gap, between America and Black Americans. I would love to have your support with some of this event planning, and you can just shoot me a note in the chat and I'll be happy to connect with you. Next slide, please. All right, just final announcements. So for those of you who are kind of OG members of the branch, you can actually go to that slide, the Black History Month slide. So if you're like an OG member of the branch, which several of you are, you may remember that we used to start all of our meetings with a moment in Black history. And so we're looking to re-energize that work. And so if any of you are interested, in sharing a particular moment in Black history that is of importance to you, right? So we don't overscript it. So if it's an area or a topic that's important to you, we would love to have you volunteer. So you can email the branch at the email address that you see on the site, and we can get you on for one of our upcoming meetings. Okay. All right. And Drew and the communications team, they do a wonderful job on sending out newsletters and keeping you all up to date on what's going on in the branch, as well as what's just going on in our community. So please make sure that you check your email, that you opted into our communications. If you know you used to get our emails and you don't see them anymore, be sure to check your spam. But it does come from the DFW Metro Gmail address. So just be on the lookout for that. Those newsletters are full of information. And we also have the links to these meetings, to our committee meetings. So lots of great info there. So we want to make sure that you are checking your inbox or possibly your spam box for those. All right. Let's see. And then if you want to, if you said, oh, I'm new to the branch and I don't recall if I opted in for the communications, go to dfwmetro.naacp.org, and you will actually, when you scroll to the bottom, you will see an option to opt in. You just put your name, your email, and your phone number, and you will start getting our newsletter. You will also get a text message reminder when we have important meetings that are coming up or any important initiatives. Promise you we won't spam you to death. We just send messages when we have some big initiatives that are going on, so you can actually opt into our communications via the website on that screen. Is that it? All right. And then in closing, we just want to thank you all for your participation. Thank you so much to Ms. Moore. You're absolutely amazing this evening. And I think Steve had to leave, but I will be sure to pass the message on that you wanted to connect with him so that the two of you could talk more. So I'll send him a message as soon as we end this call. Thank you to all of our elected officers, our team leaders, and to all of our members and community leaders. We certainly just can't be a branch without each of you. So thank you so much for giving us your time this evening. And with that, I think we are done.
Get out and vote, everybody.
Everybody go vote. Have a good night, y'all.
Have a good
Good
night.
night.
See
Thank you, guys.
Good night.
Good night.